Good morning and welcome to Tuesday's Training Tips with Tuff. I'm Christy May, founder and CEO of Legend Acres and Legends Heroes, and we are here today for February. And February is Dog Training Education Month. And so today what we're going to talk about is education playtime. So a lot of people feel that the dog training is having to do work, carving out time to have to do these things, okay, to be able to set that pattern of behaviors. So while there is part of that in what we do in dog training, however, a lot of dog training is just incorporating into everyday things, and we need to make it fun. And so a lot of the homework that we assign is games. And because games are fun, not only for the dog and for you, but it makes for more balanced learning and a well-rounded dog when you can incorporate games into your training. So today what we're going to talk about is putting fun into dog training with play. So there's lots of different ways that you can incorporate play into your dog's life. Okay, so there are things such as puzzle feeders, treat dispensing toys, as well as different interactive games. So I just grabbed a couple of them for today. So these are the soda pups. Oh, it's got a little bit of fuzz stuck on it. These are the soda pups, and so these are to be filled the same way that these Kongs are. And I'm going to attach onto this how to fill these, okay? And so there's a very specific way that you want to use these as a seeking assisted toy, but that can also help better regulate your dog's emotions throughout the day when you have some seeking assisted toys in there. Some treat dispensing toys, problem solving toys, anything that's going to help them with their cognitive functions and have to think and problem solve, okay? So any type of those engagement type games, right? But okay, there's more. Teaching commands and tricks is also a way to stimulate cognition and make training fun. So something just as simple as doing an on and off. And so jumping on the sofa and off the sofa and turning that into a game is not only strengthening your dog's off skills, but also their on skills. So there's lots of ways that you can incorporate tricks into things. Jumping through hoops, asking them to do some of the things that they already know with different pieces of equipment and different interaction. So something just as simple as putting a hula hoop on the floor and asking them to go in the hula hoop to do the sit versus just a sit outside of the hula hoop. So there's lots of little things. It doesn't have to be big. When we talk about teaching our dogs tricks or incorporating that training throughout the day. Okay, and also make sure that you're using that positive reinforcement. We want to make training not only fun for the dogs and enjoyable, but we also want it to be a relaxing experience for the dog. We want them to use their prefrontal cortex. We want those cognition skills developed in that. Okay, now the other thing that you can also do is rotate your dog's toys. So what I do is when I pick up the dog's toys and wash them, about every week to every 2 weeks, because my toys get drug outside, probably the same way as some of yours do. And what I do then is after I wash them, I stuff them into 3 different canvas bags, just regular tote bags. And so it's very random what's in each bag. And so each bag now becomes its own enrichment. And the dogs can choose to pick a bag or to take an item out of a bag. But it keeps everything kind of mixed up and rotated so that it's not the same toy over and over again, because dogs can also get bored with playing with the same toys over and over. So you'll see that you'll introduce a toy that your dog really enjoys, and then all of a sudden they're not interested in the toy anymore. You toss it to them and they're like, oh, whatever. So I don't necessarily pick out toys and hold them back to put them in rotation. I know that some people do. That's just not what I practice. I just mix them up into different tote bags, and then the tote bag is also part of the fun because now they've got to pull things out of a bag. So if you've got dogs who like to de-stuff things, the tote bag and the toys is a really good way for them to pull things out without having fuzz all over your house or worrying about them eating small pieces or eating fuzz of toys that they are picking up. And so that's also a good enrichment tool for them, is putting those toys into different things than just necessarily putting them in a toy box or tossing them back down on the floor after they've been washed and prepared. Okay, so what I really want to emphasize here is that have fun. Playing with your dog and is having fun. Okay, one of the things that you can do that's really simple is play the name game. So sit on the floor with your dog and pick up their toys and name those toys and ask them to pick the name of the toy that you just identified. And so the general rule here is that dogs learn best in sets of 3s and 5s. So when you're introducing an object, you introduce it 3 times. And then when you ask them to identify the object, I compare it to another object 2 times. And then I take that object out, and then I will add in a new object. And then you can turn this into a scavenger hunt game. So once your dog knows their toy names, you can hide the toys around the house. Okay, so this is another thing, like after you wash them, put them in different locations around the house and send your dog to go get a specific item. Send them on this treasure hunt to go find that specific item. And so how you start out doing that a little bit slower is once they've identified the toys, is you sit and you just kind of toss it out a little ways from you, enough where you can still reach the toy, and you ask them to get that toy. And then you reward for bringing that toy. Then you start moving it a little bit further away from you, hiding it behind your back, maybe tucking it underneath your leg, and asking your dog to identify it. And then you can start leaving it other places and send them to go get that toy. So that is another way that you can incorporate enrichment and canine cognition, that prefrontal cortex thinking, into day-to-day play. This is also a great way to entertain your dogs, because some dogs feel that we should be their entertainment 24/7, and so they're constantly asking for engagement from us. And so what you can do then is, just with a little bit of pre-planning here, you can already have things set up where you can say, oh, you want me to do something with you, how about you go get me Moo Cow? Right? Okay, so our toys aren't really named anything fantastic. We have a cow, it moos when you squeeze it, so it's Moo Cow, right? So you don't have to get really fancy on the names of what you call your dog's toys when you're naming them. And just make sure that you don't name it toy, okay? And it can't just be a rope, okay? And it can't be bone. You have to start using some descriptive terms when you're describing your dog's toys and teaching this game. But what that does then is that allows you to continue to do what you're doing, especially if it's making dinner or something else that you're trying to get done, and your dog is wanting that engagement with you, is now you can send them to go get something and then bring that back. And then you can send them out again and bring it back, and go get a different toy and bring it back. And so now you have a dog who's engaged, you're interacting with them, and so you're incorporating this play into your training as well as part of your enrichment. And so when you can incorporate these things into your day-to-day, then it's not so much of homework and work and having to set aside time to be able to do these things. You're incorporating play and interaction with your dogs throughout the day, keeping them engaged, keeping it fun, okay, keeping it positive. And you are now building a stronger bond and relationship with your dog that is going to just help you further on down the line when you do need your dog to do more complex things for you in the realm of obedience, or just in an emergency, right? You need your dog's focus and you need them to do something, and we want you to be able to get that. All right, so this week we focused on educational playtime. Okay, so make it fun. Make your training fun. Incorporate tricks. Use your on-off skills, recall, interactive toys. There's lots and lots of ways that you can make playtime very educational for your dog. And again, engaging that prefrontal cortex is what we want to do in these sessions. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will see you next week for Tuesday's Training Tips with Tuff.